Thank you for joining me. I want to talk today about the morality of markets, and I want to use the topic of gift giving as a way of looking at some of the moral valences of markets. I'll use loosely Michael Sandel's Moral Limits of Markets as a reference for this discussion. So, when we look at markets as practiced in the West, it's pretty clear that they have incredible moral strengths. The greatest of these being efficiency. Markets are perhaps the most efficient resource distribution mechanism ever conceived, and as such, markets certainly have incredible justification across a variety of circumstances as institutional mechanisms. But some of the moral weaknesses of markets become apparent when markets get applied to other kinds of circumstances. And let's just take gift giving as an example of an activity that is widespread in human lives and has been forever, but that markets have a hard time understanding. Okay, so this next Christmas or for your next birthday, which would you rather have? Would you rather have a uh, a heartfelt present sought for by somebody who loves you that may not be precisely what you most want for Christmas, but that nevertheless signals or conveys care and concern and a relational connection from that loved one? Or would you rather have a cash stuffed envelope for the equivalent of what that heartfelt gift retails for? Some people, maybe my business students, of course, are going to say I'd rather have the cash stuffed envelope. But most people outside of business are going to say, well, I'd rather have the heartfelt gift. It might not be precisely what I was looking for, but it is the sort of thing that nevertheless suggests to me care and concern that the person who bought it loves me and wants to signal to me at my birthday or on Christmas that he or she is interested in my well being and took the time to care about that well being. And this is something that markets can't understand. From a market based perspective, gift giving is indiscernible or unconscionable as a social practice. Gift giving, for instance, is incredibly inefficient. If you take Christmas as an example, many of the gifts, heck, maybe even most of the gifts that people receive these days in prosperous societies like America end up being unused on a back shelf of the closet or even thrown out or returned in January after the Christmas season is over. And markets see this as a gross inefficiency. Here's all this wastefulness, all of these gifts that people aren't going to end up using, and it's a social practice that markets see as being unjustifiable. From the perspective of markets, the person who knows best what you want is you. That's because you and you alone know best what your particular desires are. So it would be much more efficient for your gift giver just to give you an envelope stuffed with cash and to say to you, look, here is something, you know what you desire best, why don't you go out and get it? And yet gift giving remains, even in spite of the obvious fact that efficiency would be greater if we just received cold cash and got ourselves what we most desired. Why does it remain? Well, it remains perhaps in part because people like being surprised by things that they might not themselves have gotten for themselves. Perhaps they considered it too expensive or a luxury item that they couldn't justify, but that they nevertheless get because someone else is willing to get it for them. That's perhaps a reason. But perhaps the more prominent reason why gift giving remains as a custom is because gift giving suggests human attachment, care and concern, love. It suggests kindness, and it signals also lots of other things. It could signal different things in the context of an employer-employee relationship, or brown nosing or something like that if someone's a political climber. But in the context of familial relationships or friend relationships, gift giving certainly signals love and kindness. And as such, gift giving remains, even in spite of its unintelligibility to markets. When markets enter the picture, they tend to distort and to shape in accordance with their own likeness. And for markets, the likeness in question is almost always efficiency. That's the race to the bottom that markets are always in pursuit of. That's a wonderful thing. It leads to enormous human prosperity, but in the area of human relationships, it arguably is not the best dynamic for governing our interactions with each other. And when markets get involved, gift giving is undermined as a practice.